And good morning and welcome to Touch Base Daily. My name is Ron Fawcett and I'm touching base with you. And I have the great Chris Edwards on. Good morning,
Oh,
everyone.
good morning.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm here. It's another week.
It's another week. It's been a busy week. I see we got the memo, black shirts.
Yes.
That means we're in work mode. When we're wearing black
Yeah.
shirts, that means we're in work mode. And let's see who's in the building. First of all, today is our wonderful Trend Watch Thursdays. So this is where we talk about politics, we talk about photography, we talk about anything that's related in the news. And there's a lot in the news today. So we'll be talking a lot about that. We'll be talking about Liz Cheney and her
Yeah.
endorsement. We'll be talking about this school shooting, another school shooting in America. And we will definitely be talking about the Russia propaganda and on the websites and all that good stuff. So we'll be talking about those subjects. And also we'll be just sharing our community and what we're talking about and what's on our minds and what we're thinking about. So welcome to Touch Base Daily. This is Ron Foster, and I'm here again to touch base with you every day during the week, especially during the weekend, sometimes during the weekend. But without a further ado, let's welcome our people. This community is on fire. Guess who gets the gold this morning? Anthony Rowland. Good morning, Anthony. How are you? He said, I'm going to be the first person in the building. And then second place in the silver is Chrissy's Corner.
Yeah.
And then in third for the bronze is Omar Ramos. Omar Ramos is in the building, and he's also in the backstage, so he'll be coming on a little bit as we get the morning going. Again, for those that are interested in coming on live with us, you can just simply scan the QR code, and then that will give you access to the backstage. Now, that doesn't mean you're going to be on. It just means that you're in the backstage, and that will kind of like filter you in one by one, and that way. So that would be cool, and that way also gives me a chance to kind of like vet whoever's in the backstage. Not they always so anyway. I see some more people popping in the backstage. I see Elise is in the building. So let's go on. Let's continue. Mr. Ramos says, I wanted to be first. Nope.
Next,
Anthony beat you today, and Grissy.
you got to jump on early to be first.
You got to jump on early. Chris R is in the building. She says, good morning. Rashawn is in the building. Rashawn, could you please text me later on? I have something for you, and I need to get that to you, but I keep moving through my busy day. But please text me so I can, or email me. Better yet, email me or text me. And if not, I think you have my number. You can even call me if you want to. Okay, Jazzy is in the building. What's going on, Jazzy? Good morning. Good morning. Adrian's in the building. She says, how you? And Elise is in the building. She says, good morning, everyone. And she is in the backstage. She'll be coming on shortly as well. And we have Bryson back from Jamaica enjoying himself. He says, what is he? He always gives us something. What's up, Ron? What's up, Chris? What's up, RLP fam? What's up, CQ fam? Happy
Bryson,
fight night, the $1 Million Heist Thursday.
Which part of Jamaica was he at?
I don't know. Bryson, where were you in Jamaica? The Jamaican man on here wants to know. And good morning again. She says Ron and Chris, and Paro is in the building. Good morning. She says Grand Rising, and Adrian, my buddy, my boy, my friend, my compadre, my son is in the building. And Adrian has some good news for you. I have some photos for you. I finally edited all our photos from our vacation. So we got those now for you as well. So reach out to me later. Okay. And I see here, Chrissy says, good morning. And she's sending those love and good morning. Kimmy is in the building. What's going on? She says, hey, everyone. Charlene is in the building. Good morning, Charlene. So good to see you. You guys are popping here like popcorn. And so it's so good to see everyone. Again, so much to talk about today. And woo, man. So
Where are we
anyway,
starting?
where do we start? Where do we start, Chris? You pick the subject.
Oh, well, first before we get started, I just want to say thank you to all those that reached out. Just to give you an update, Grandma's still kicking. She's still here. She's a tough cookie. So thank you guys for showing some love. But I want to start with the shooting from yesterday because this is the 8th shooting since the school year has started. This is the 8th mass shooting since school has started. You know, you don't really hear about school mass shootings over the summer because school is out, but school is in now. And I mean, it's crazy. You know, children back in the day, like they prepared for a nuclear holocaust, you know, that type of thing. And they never had to really worry about it. It was never, ever something that came to fruition. School shootings it's just like brushing your teeth now. It's ridiculous. There's a mass shooting every day in this country. And I was listening to something on MSNBC last night, and they showed the comparison of how Donald Trump reacted to a mass shooting last year versus how Kamala Harris reacted to the mass shooting yesterday. The orange man said, "Oh, we just need to get over it and get past it." And then, you know, Kamala is basically saying that this does not need to happen. And there is a stark contrast between these two people and the parties. Like Republicans just see this as, oh, this is a part of American life. We deal with it. We move on. This is not normal. Everyone outside the United States is looking at us like we are crazy, which we are. The fact that we have normalized our kids going to school and the potential of them not coming home because they're murdered by another classmate or, you know, I mean, really, it's been classmates. So like that's not normal. And the fact that we've normalized it, that says something about us as a society. It's scary. And it continues to get more and more scary. I think we're almost even like desensitized to the to what's going on in this country.
Kimmy says, my 7-year-old granddaughter is asking me about lockdowns and she is afraid. I mean, that is the horror of and again, it's only one party. I mean, yeah, there's a couple of Democrats that are also in the pockets of the
NRA.
But and how many times can you say over and over our prayers and thoughts?
Thoughts and prayers.
Thoughts and
This
prayers.
has been going on for decades now. I mean, it's crazy. Children are afraid to go to school because they're not sure if they're going to come home. Kids are texting their parents saying, I love you, thinking that's the last time they're going to see their parents.
Yeah.
That is not something that they should even have to think about. I remember going to high school, like the most, you know, if you got into a fight, it was, you know, someone is bullying you, they're pushing you around, you know, you get into a physical altercation, but you didn't have to worry about, oh my God, is someone going to come into this classroom and shoot me?
Yeah. Adrian says 2 teachers and 2 students died.
Yeah.
And it was just another Wednesday in America.
Yep. And can I say something? Our system is failing us. I'm going to tell you why. This young man was people had called into the FBI about him because there was chatter online that he could potentially be a mass shooter. They investigated. He was 13. They said, "Well, there's no evidence to think that he's going to do anything." 1 year later, he walks into his school and he shoots it up. You had possible threats, and you said that, "Oh, well, there's not enough evidence." The moment someone tells you that they think that someone is a mass shooter or they have tendencies, you need to take that seriously. You need to constantly follow and monitor them.
Yeah.
Now this kid actually went through with it.
I'm going to bring Elise and Omar on, and Elise, I'm sure, has something to say because Elise used to, I mean, she still teaches in a lot of ways, but she is our teacher in the building and has been in the profession for decades and has schooled so many people. She knows the school systems. And Elise, first of all, good morning, Elise.
Good morning, everyone. How are you? How are you doing?
Good morning, Omar. Welcome aboard, y'all. So
Can
at
you
least,
hear
I
me?
mean, what I mean, I know we talk about this over and over again, and we're like, hey, you know what? This is the problem. This is the problem. This is the problem. When will America wake up? Do you think can this country ever wake up from this?
Well, they can if they want to. As Chris said, this young man was 13, they got information. He wanted to shoot up a school. They investigated. They didn't do anything. The morning of yesterday, they got a call that said there would be shooting. There would be shootings at 5 different schools in that county. And it said it would start with that high school. No, and no one. I don't know why they didn't take that seriously. And that's exactly what happened. And I've heard people would chatter on different platforms talking about resource officers. And we need police officers. Well, resource officers here in DC are police officers. They're Washington, DC Metropolitan Police Officers. Security guards are not. They're not armed. They're just there, just like everyone else. The unfortunate part, and this was happening even during the time I was an administrator, we had to do. I don't know what that sound is, but
Oh, I think there's somebody having some plates in the background.
it's not in my house this time.
It's not you this time. It's not your husband.
No, my husband was sitting quietly in the living room.
That's Omar.
So we started at that point, doing the active shooter training.
Yes.
And, they would come in and the police would come and check the doors and rooms. But a part of that, what people don't realize and that training is done in schools, unfortunately, with students and teachers at the beginning of the year. We have to do drills every month. We did active shooter drills every month where they would have to lock the doors. That way we find out which doors didn't have locks that work. My school had a lot of glass in classrooms. We had to teach them, give them ideas about how to be able to cover that glass up so they wouldn't know where the children and the teachers were in the rooms. And as administrators and security, we were required to, even if it was going on, our job was to walk that building and to make sure everyone was secure, even if we were not.
Yeah.
Before we were able to go to our safety. Now, DC is a little different than other school districts. We have metal detectors in our schools.
Same here in New York.
You're not getting into a DC public high school, middle school with a weapon. You basically, and it doesn't matter who you are. I mean, we have people who are arrogant enough to come in and say, oh, I shouldn't have to. Everyone goes through the metal detector. Unless they're that school's identified resource officer, everyone. And you find guns, we don't find it. You find kids who have knives and things like that. Those things are confiscated at the door, never returned to the child, given to the police department and destroyed. And a lot of schools don't have that as a safety net. And some people are like, oh, why do they have to go through this? It feels like prison, but they're safer, right? They are safer unless someone comes in there at off hour and puts something in there. And but when you have organizations, an organization like the NRA and politicians who are wearing, instead of the flag, wearing a gun, AR-15 on their
lapel
instead of the flag, sitting in Congress, that's their mindset, and it's all prayers and our apologies. That's all, condolences and prayers. That's all they got.
That's nothing.
They could put in, and when Bill Clinton had that restriction when he was president, it worked. Those multiple shootings like that were reduced because there was a ban on that type of weapon. And the ban has been proven to work. Why can't we ban those weapons? And I think that's the one part, and that's Kamala Harris is saying it out loud. We need to ban those types of weapons. And you do. And parents you got to think about the parent in this as well. So some parents are caught off guard, but this young man's parents were aware of what his threat was last year. And he still had access to loaded weapons.
Yes.
So we have
which now is going to call into play that the parents, maybe the father, may be prosecuted like the child.
And now there's precedent for it. There's precedent for it.
But why not? Because you knew your son had this potential because he threatened it before.
Yes.
But you still allowed him to have access to guns and ammunition.
And can we talk about also that do schools in the South or schools outside of the big cities, they don't have metal detectors.
A lot of them don't.
Mm.
Unless something like this happens. I mean, look at in Florida. I mean, back they didn't have metal detectors, but I think they do now.
Right.
What's the name of the school? I forget. But not
Parkland.
until it happens, not until it
Parkland.
happens to you, will you decide, oh, I need to take these precautions. Think about it. I think we need to think of schools now as like airports. You
Yes.
can't get into a school without going through security every day. I mean, yes, we sometimes we hate the fact that we have to go through and do this every day. But you know what though? When I get on a plane, for the most part, I feel safe. I don't feel as though I have to worry about, well, does someone have a weapon like that? You know. So we just have to treat schools like we do airports and other like major events. When you go to any events in a big like an arena, you have to go through metal detectors.
Right. And a
Here's one
woman's
for
purse can't
here's
be bigger than a woman's purse in these arenas can't be bigger than this. You know, you
Yeah.
fit a
you can't
certain
go into the
size and they
arena.
Some
inspect
have to
your
be
purse.
clear. You have to have
Yeah, you
clear.
have to be clear to get in.
How did you get a assault rifle into school? The one thing I did notice that they talked about yesterday was that the one feature they had in the schools, like once you go outside of the room, the door automatically locks and you have to be actually buzzed back in.
Right.
Um,
Mm.
Yeah.
that helps if the shooter's outside your room.
Yeah, if he's in
And
the
that
classroom. So
and that
Omar,
helped
let's
with
go.
that
Can we go to
that helped with
Omar?
his algebra class.
Because Omar's the granddad in the building, and he has granddaughters and kids that going to school or will be going to school. And you also live in Texas, so
Yeah.
you kind of like hit all of the top things that
Yeah.
are going on. I mean, how do you feel about what's happening? I mean, for your grandkids, what do you think about for your grandkids and your loved ones that are still in elementary schools and still attending schools?
It's a crazy feeling because the shooter is the same age as my
Mhm.
oldest granddaughter.
Uh,
She's 14, and I still see her as a little girl. Um, Texas, s- states like Texas and a lot of the southern states, there's a gun culture because of quote unquote hunting, and you
mm,
have a lot of households with a lot of guns. It's not unusual to go into a home where you see, rifles and, you know,
guns lined up along
gun.
the wall.
Oh yeah, it's just part of the house decor. So in Dallas ISD, which is one of the largest school districts in the nation, most
Yes.
of those schools have metal detectors. Most of those
Okay.
schools, but Texas is so large, so big, and there's majority of schools are rural schools or out in the suburbs. They do not have metal detectors. My granddaughter's school does not have a metal detector. I could walk
Mm,
in, and though they have a on-site officer, it's just one person.
mm.
So you check in. You're supposed to check in, sign up. You give them your driver's license, then you're allowed in the school. But between there and the front door, chaos can still happen,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and it's a scary situation knowing that my grandchildren, who are in grade school and high school, are vulnerable to any person of their own age
Own
can come in,
age.
and cause chaos like that. And I'm just again, we talked about the politicians and the NRA and all that. There's no common sense
Oh, we
whatsoever.
lost you.
There's no common sense whatsoever to be a nation that allows this to happen to our children. Just not. It just
Yeah.
doesn't make any sense. And I'm embarrassed.
Right.
I'm embarrassed.
Can I
It's like when you go overseas and people, because we know that legislation works because it works in
It
every
does.
other country, and as soon as they had an incident, they put into the
They
law, and now
Yep.
If
They
it
shut them
happens,
down.
it happens once every 5-10 years.
Right.
I think New Zealand did it several years ago where they had like a mass shooting and they like, nope, that's it. Guns are illegal in this country. I
Done.
want to mention this one thing. You know, people always say, oh, the inner cities are so bad and this and that. And the fact that here's the thing, most of the inner city schools, they have metal detectors, and you don't hear about mass shootings in inner cities. They're all in the suburbs. They're all in these wealthy to do communities. That's where these mass shootings are happening. They're not happening in the inner cities. The inner cities are well protected. You've got police officers in the schools. You've got the metal detectors. You've got people there to help with different types of crises. But you do not have this in these suburbs. And they say, oh my God, I didn't know this could happen here. Like, why not? Why not?
Right. That's always the response. I'm surprised it happened here. Why are you surprised? It's been happening in locations like that since Columbine, right? It's been
That's
happening.
where it's happening. It's not happening in the cities.
Yeah. And one
And
of the
how
things
long
that I
ago was
understand is,
Columbine?
yeah, one of the things I understand, if the girls club talked about Georgia not having any regulations, if they had a red flag law, and that was reported last when he was 13, was reported, they would have been able to say the house that no guns could be in that house. He couldn't have any access to guns. But since that there are so many states with no rules and regulations anymore, they're getting rid of everything. There are and people are fighting against red flag laws. Why are we fighting against people who are mentally unstable, known to be mentally unstable, having access to guns? Why is there a fight against that? I don't get that.
I think also, the politicians that are in place, I think I shared this with Ron offline. We have the state fair coming up in October. And there's a fight between the city of Dallas and the attorney general to ban guns entering the state fair. Last year, there was a shooting at the state fair. Someone got killed. And the state fair draws millions and millions of people. And all they want is to make sure that everyone is safe. But the attorney general, Ken Paxton, who's a criminal himself, once says it's against our constitutional rights to bear arms, to carry guns in a public place. That doesn't make any sense until somebody gets killed, which someone has.
Not even someone, one of these politicians, once it happens to them, that's when you'll start to see major changes.
You know what? I have to beg to differ. I think these people the gun has become the God. And so even I mean, think about it. You think of Gabby.
Well, that's true too.
Gabby Gifford.
Oh, he's frozen.
Ron froze. Ron, you touching
the
that
attempted
mouse again?
assassination
you were
Trump.
frozen. You were frozen. We didn't hear what you said.
You got froze.
Yeah, there was like a power shortage. Something happened. But I was saying that even though there was a attempt on the previous president, or 45, they still I don't know about that. I don't care if I really don't. I don't think even if a president is killed, even if senators are killed, if congressmen are killed, their allegiance is to the God of the gun and the NRA. So I think America, and again, in this election season, I always still find it hard to believe every time I turn on the TV and it says that this country is tied. These two people are tied for the election. One is for democracy, one is not. One is for guns, one is not. The list goes on and on. But people in this country vote against their own needs 100% of the time. And we have to figure out what is it in the American psyche that causes the country to vote against medical care that they need, against dental care that they need, against vision that they need, against lower prescription costs, but they need. And there's a portion, there's 47% of people in this country that are voting against it.
They peddle hate and fear. They are peddling hate and fear. You like if they take their guns, they're going to come in and take your house. They're going to do all these things to you and your family. That's about fear. And the other side is these people are trying to replace you. That's the hatred. It's a hate and fear, power and control, and the money people wanting to keep their money. I mean that really is what it is about. You know, the only time when we think about the NRA, we all go back to Ronald Reagan. It was fine in California until the Panthers showed up at the state house with their guns and they had a legal right. Then it was like, oh, let's change this law.
Yeah.
You know, until that happened, it was changed the law.
Yeah, and so yeah, it's just I mean, and we'll go to the next topic, but this, I mean, it's just to me something that it's the psyche of our country. It really is it is the heart and soul of our country. And until the heart and soul of this country changes, we will continue to just get worse and worse down this. I mean, we remember when it was happening 100 times in a year, we were like, oh my gosh, 100 times in 1 year. Then it's 200 times. Oh my God, I can't believe it's 200 times in a year. Then it was like, oh my God, there's a shooting every day in America, 300 plus days in a year. And now we're heading towards 500 shootings in a year.
Mass shootings. Let's be clear when we say that. Mass shootings, which is considered, I think, more than is 3 or more. I believe is considered a mass shooting.
And also, the number one killer of kids is not disease.
It's guns.
Nothing else. Nothing within their bodies or internally. It is guns.
And you think about this. They want to, when you talk about gun access, you have these states, instead of putting in gun rules and regulations, we want to arm teachers. And I'll tell you, having been in education, all it's going to take is one teacher getting upset with either a student or another teacher, and then you have a problem on your hand.
Or a parent.
Or a parent. And so then you have a problem on your hand. I felt threatened, so this is what I did. That's why it's not safe. I've been in situations where students have gotten upset, parents have come into schools and confronted, and the teachers have gotten into their faces and been combative and taken combative stances, and I've had to defuse that. Imagine if that teacher was armed.
Yes.
When we were doing that thing, those types of things. And that's what people don't understand. People, the solution is not more guns. That's not a solution.
It's never is the solution, because that's the problem. We layer it with more guns, more hate, more guns, more hate, more guns, more hate. So it never is the solution until we come together as a nation to just like decide we have to ban these guns.
They're not good for anything. They're not good for our society. Adrian says a total of 754 people were killed and 2,443 other people were injured in 604 shootings in 2023.
So you know, my husband, I don't know if you all heard his voice. My husband came to the side.
I heard your husband. Tell he needs to pull up a chair.
Yeah, he has an article from the Washington Post.
Yeah.
And he said he wanted me to share this with you all.
Yes.
But the Gifford Law Center gave Georgia, because they have the weakest gun laws in the country, gave Georgia a failing grade. Kemp replied, "I wear this F as a badge of honor." And as Girls Club said, he showed up at the school. That's such a hypocrite. But he said he wore that grade of F for their gun laws or lack thereof as a badge of honor. So this tells you the mentality of the person who's running the state, who had the audacity to show up at the school where these two sets of parents lost their children.
Yes.
The teachers' families lost them, and 9 other people were injured. He is proud of the fact that their gun laws allowed this to happen. He wears that as a badge of honor that they have a failing grade.
Disgusting.
It is. Okay, next subject. The Russians. The Russians. Well, we all know that. We all knew about the Russians. The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. No, the Russians are here. And so the Russians are in politics. And have you guys been monitoring this news report from yesterday? And they're saying that the Russians have been buying up all the time on social media. And not only are they buying up time, but they're buying up time like on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
And because they are buying up time and they're getting these hours and also hours that keeps playing over and over, that they are starting also to make money in the propaganda
Yep.
war.
They're paying influencers. A
Yes.
company based out of Tennessee is the ones that are buying these ads and getting to YouTubers, and they said that they didn't realize it was Russian money. You didn't want to know where it was coming from. That's what it was.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. They preyed upon our capitalistic, mentality. We all about making money.
Right.
We all about always. And so they didn't care where that money was coming from.
Mm-hmm.
They just care. Oh, you're gonna buy? Okay, whatever. We'll do it. There was no checks and balances.
The Russians never left.
They never left. They've
left
been here all
politics.
along, right?
And
They've
and
been
the
here all along.
Chinese.
Yeah, and the Chinese. They never
And the
left.
Chinese.
And the Republicans don't care. So
And they don't care because they want Trump to win.
Yeah,
And
they helped them.
it's just well, I'm so glad that the Attorney General, U.S. Attorney General, they said, look, this is what we're going to do. They have a plan. They're making it known. They're sharing it. They're trying to get ahead of it. I don't know why they wait to the last minute because it's been going on all year probably. But the Russian bots are everywhere. How many times I've had Russian bots in my feed? I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, I do not speak this language, and they're here. So when I'm on my YouTube channel, I see Russians in my feed all the time. The good thing, a lot of them are not talking about propaganda, as in like you go to other places, but the Russian propaganda is here. And do you think this is going to have a big influence on this year's election?
I think so. I mean, people aren't paying attention until now. So it's tradition that after Labor Day is when people start paying attention to what's going on with an election, and they've missed so much. And what they're getting now is just a very condensed version of what's out there, and they're getting a lot of the misinformation. I mean, this whole Russian thing with paying for YouTubers to go out there and spread this propaganda. And then, I mean, you don't even have to have the Russians do it. Trump is out there now doing interviews with these white YouTubers that are talking about cocaine and stuff like that. That has nothing to do with politics. And this is how he's getting his voters. Like,
I keep saying the people that follow Trump, and my friends laugh at my other friends. I say this over and over. It is. I have labeled it the cult of misfit toys, and all of these people that are like lining up. Now the rich people, they're using these people.
Absolutely,
they're using them because they just want to get their tax break. They just want to make sure that they are making their money. However, these folks that are in this cult, and let's call it what it is. It's a cult. They are truly the people of the misfit toys, meaning these are the people that were picked on in school. These are the ones that were not accepted among their peers. These are the ones that were the bad nerds. It was always something that was off about them in society, not physically. How they see the world, their mindset. These are the misfits. And you think about how many people surrounding Trump have gone to jail. How many people, and it is no coincidence that this guy is saying, okay, all those people in January 6th, all you bad guys, all you bad players, I think you're cool people.
Right.
I think you're cool people. And if I become president, I'm going to, pardon all of you. And you go on with the Steve Bannons and all the rest of them. These Giuliani, all of these people, they have problems with women. They hate women. They call women nasty. They call women all kinds of names. They hate people of color. They just are. They're loners. They are the world's. They're in their own heads. It is truly the cult of misfit toys, and
Interesting analogy.
and they were saying that a lot of what they are finding is that the Russian propaganda, they're finding that as they're going through and doing these researches, is that the people that are on Fox and on all of these stations are parroting these words, the same phrases, the same sentences. It is what it is. These people have all. This is the land of misfit toys. They're all totally connected. They want their dear leader to be king.
It's a coordinated effort. Like it's like what I said. They're the ones that are saying in front of the camera what they're all supposed to say at the same time. They're coordinated in saying that they're consistent and coordinated, and they all know that if this person gets to be president again, that they basically can do whatever they want to with the country. Russia knows that they can do whatever they want to do if this man gets back into office. That's a fact. And they're pulling out everything they can do. When you have these influences like the one that's Puerto Rican in Pennsylvania, encouraging Puerto Ricans to vote for him, you know you're being paid for that.
That's
There's
right.
no doubt in my mind that this influence is getting paid for that, to lead people down a rabbit hole of destruction where this man didn't even realize that Puerto Rico was a part of America. He was one telling Puerto Ricans to go back to their country. Well, this is America. They're Americans. So
the Girls Club says one content creator was paid $400,000 plus a $100,000 signing bonus to produce pro mega content. I always believe these talking heads didn't believe what they were saying. It's about money.
Yep.
It is. It's all about money. I mean, even the ones that are saying negative stuff all over Instagram, they're saying that stuff because or any other platform, they're saying it hoping to get the money out of it. It's about money to most of these people to say it.
Yeah, Jazzy says, ask yourself why 45 keeps aligning himself with our adversaries. These people, yeah, he's a bad player. He wants to be a dictator. He wants to be just like them.
Let me tell you something. If he told them to drink the Kool-Aid that was going to kill them, they would all do it.
Absolutely.
The world's coming to end. Let's drink.
And you know that 45 has a exit strategy. If he doesn't win the election, Ron, we both said that he's in the election to keep his ass out of jail.
That's it.
And to cuddle up to his cronies, but if he loses, it'll probably be about 30 seconds before he packs his plane up and he's out of the country.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he leaves the country because he's going to jail. People say, "Oh, he can't go to jail." I think if he loses this election, there would be no reason for the Republicans to hold on to him.
Yeah. Someone said in order for Republicans to have a resurgence, Trump has to lose, and they want him to lose.
Yes.
They're starting to say it now. And, I think this probably will bring us into our next topic.
Yes, it is. You got the segue, sir.
Liz Cheney. Here's something a little sad about her announcement last night. She announced that she's not voting for Trump and she's going to vote and support Kamala Harris. That was the breaking news last night, and that was all anyone was talking about. The school shooting
and this morning
gone.
Absolutely.
So what do you guys think of Liz Cheney?
I believe she believes in democracy, and she knows that Trump, and she's been saying Trump is an existential threat to our democracy, and she will do whatever it takes so that he does not stay in power. And if that means for her crossing party lines and putting country before party, she's going to do that. And she has been truthful to her word, and she stood by that. So I respect her for that. We don't agree on our politics, but the fact that she's standing on principle, I respect her for that.
Right, and she proved that her what was the most important thing to her was the country.
Yes.
That she was willing. She put her political career on the line for that. She knew she wouldn't get reelected, but she's like, I cannot continue to support this.
Yes.
And she did it. She said what she had to say, and I think she, like so many others, are saying we have to save this country because we see where it's headed, and this would be. And she says that he's dangerous. She knows he's dangerous. She said it for a while that he's dangerous, and it's wonderful that she's finally come out and said that she support Harris. But I tell everyone, you support Harris, I need people to vote blue. I need them to support the senators and the House of Representatives that Harris also needs to get the work done and to protect this democracy.
Well, same thing with what Jimmy McCain yesterday.
Yeah.
The news out there, and I mean, even though these people, the mega folks, are not going to be moved.
No.
They just going to see them as never Trumpsters. And but I think if you affect the election one voter at a time, it makes a difference. So these moves by Liz Cheney, Jimmy McCain, Adam Kissinger. I always get that to hard his last name. And they are putting country before politics, before party. And Adrian says that he's a little cynical, but again, and I'm going to just paraphrase as Elise would say it, even though she's here, is don't get it twisted. They're voting, the Republican Party is voting for Harris because they all know that they need to destroy the Republican Party as it is now so that they can rebuild it again. So they can, and I guarantee you, when the Republican Party is rebuilt, it will go through, it will be rebuilt.
Right.
Cheney will be the flag bearer. She will be the one that they will probably initiate her as being the presidencies for the Republican Party in the future. And the reason why I say that is because yesterday, when she made her announcement at the event last night, the people applauded, but a lot of the media is not showing the full footage. The folks in the audience, forgive the sirens that are passing by, this is New York, they gave her a standing ovation. The whole auditorium stood up, and at first it was just 1, then it was 10, then it was 30, and before you know it, the whole audience was standing up, giving her a standing ovation. And I think the Cheneys, she and her father, and all the folks that are in the core of the old Republican Party, the old Republican Guard, have calculated these will be the pillars of the new Republican Party when MAGA is destroyed, because they have to destroy MAGA. There's no other choice. It cannot exist.
But here's the thing, though. Here's the thing, and this was on I was watching CNN last night around 10 something. They had a panel on, and there was like, if Trump loses, is Trumpism actually dead, or is it just rebranded as something else? Because now you've let this cat out the bag. It is a party of hatred, and they'll just rebrand it as something else. And because right now it is so prevalent, it can't just go away.
But guess what? They've always been here. And I love that the professor said a couple of days ago, I forgot what show I was looking at, and he was saying when you look at history in America, and I mentioned this yesterday, the 1700s, the 1800s, the 1900s, and now we're in the new millennium of the 2000s. 30% of the American population has always been in rebellion mode, as in anti-establishment, anti-government, anti-slavery, and I mean, sorry, not anti-slavery, but keeping slavery. And also the what do you call it? The years where everything was communism. Or
Yeah.
when everywhere the McCarthy years. That's what it is.
Right.
The McCarthy
Yeah.
years. So you had the McCarthy years. You've always had these people that have come out of their little bottle. Some leader, president,
Yeah.
has allowed them, like Coolidge, Coolidge allow the KKK to march on Washington D.C. and they expanded their memberships. And again, the populace, the majority of the society had to say, wait a minute, we are not going down that road. Remember, Make America Great campaign. This is not the first time.
Nope.
Right.
During McCarthy's years, it was Make America Great Again. When
Listen,
the Klan marched on Washington D.C., it was Make America Great Again. When Reagan took office and had his, some people call him some people call him bad names like the Klan man,
I
but
told you, Grand
again,
Wizard.
he too was using what? Make America Great Again. So these people, and remember, Trump hijacked these people that were already in existence. They were called the Tea Party.
yep.
The Tea Party were these people. They were anti the government. We want to destroy the government. The McVeighs that wanted to bomb the buildings. Well, he did bomb and then kill people. I mean, American terrorism has always been on the rise anytime America makes progress.
Yep.
Right.
They always try to raise their ugly heads. And then the country as a whole has to come together to beat them back. But they never go away. They will
Listen,
always live among us.
what Ron is saying, for those that do not listen to Rachel Maddow, go and listen to her podcast, Ultra. This is exactly what he's talking about. There are two seasons of it. It actually outlines everything that has gone on over these Trump years that has happened with McCarthyism. And it's everything is happening. It's happened before. This is not new, people. This is not
It's not
new.
new. When you think about
Life is repeating itself.
think about the Civil War.
Is it?
Think about
Right.
what Lincoln had to do. Lincoln said, he said, I'm not for, I really don't care about the slave condition. He really
Right.
did not care. He was like,
Right.
I just want to preserve the
The
Union.
union.
My job as the president of this country is to preserve the Union. And whatever that takes, that's what I'm going to do. However, the South said, wait a minute, you are infringing on our dollars, you're infringing on our property, you're taking stuff away from. We are not with this new progression. Every time, this has always been a fight against progression of this country. It always happens. It's happened every 50, 60, 70 years. And you always see it in every century. And again, I often use the phrase, and I always, for those that don't know about the Republican Party in the 1800s was the party of progression.
Right. It's not this part.
Progression. They were the party of progression. This where the abolitionists lived. The abolitionists were part of the Republican Party. And people that were for freedom of the slaves being free were part of the Republican Party. The Republican Party, here's a little trivia, was called the Nigger Party. Excuse my French, because people know I don't use that word.
Mhm.
But that was the name of the Republican Party back in the 1800s. When they used to call him he was the president of the niggers. That's what they called him. This is it has always been a 30% to 39% of the country that has always been fighting against progression and of people becoming more free, people becoming more independent, people getting more rights. There's always a 30 to 39% of these folks that fight, and they have risen their ugly heads again, and they just got to be beat back into submission. And
The
that's
only
how
thing,
we do it as we vote.
the only thing this time though is they're a lot more vocal and upfront about it. Like before, they would do it in the background, and I would say this is the first time in history that it's so widespread and just in everyone's faces.
Because we
And I
have
think that because
technology.
of
Right.
social, right? I was gonna say because of social media,
Social media.
everyone has a voice now.
It's social media, but it's also the complicity of the media
Mhm.
and how
Yeah,
they report things. It
yeah,
really is like Ron said. Well, why didn't they show the whole crowd? They're not going to show that. You know, just like a lot of them, unless someone has a camera and they pan the crowds for 45, you don't see the real crowd unless
Yes.
so you get that illusion that there's this tremendous crowd, right? But it's not. But so a part of it is having access to social media, having media that's complicit in this and been infiltrated by MAGA. They're
Yes.
in there. The MAGA people are in these outlets. Let's not forget that they're owned by white billionaires who want to keep their tax breaks. Let's be real about that. So they let the noise out more than they would have before. And then one of the things, as you talk about the Republican Party, just I need Black people in America to understand that when the people go Republicans and Lincoln, that this is not a Lincoln Republican group.
No,
That,
this is not
that
the
Lincoln,
no,
that
this is not
Republican group
this is not
died
old, this is
so
not
long
old.
ago, years and years ago, when the Dixiecrats got upset and switched parties and created what you see now. But this is on steroids now.
Yes.
So that Republican Party changed. You got Nixon, you got Reagan. Those are the people that are responsible for what you see now. That's where
Yeah.
that foundation was laid. So let's not get that twisted. I think people need to understand that this is not the Republican Party that to preserve the Union had
Exactly.
those of us whose ancestors were enslaved were freed because they wanted to preserve that Union through that particular party at that time. This is not that party. So people who want to use that, get past that. This is not what if you're thinking that, that's not what it is. You're being sold a bill of goods while you lose your rights.
This
And
is
this
not
party right here with Project
1865.
2025, Agenda 47, whatever you want to talk about, is coming for all of your rights. They're coming for, as a young man out of Georgia, they're coming for your children, they're coming for your wives, they're coming for your daughters,
yeah.
they're coming for everybody.
That's
And
right.
so you need to protect them. In order to protect them, we have to make sure we vote blue all up and down the ticket.
Up and down the ticket.
Up and down the ticket. And I think that's where we also have to have the shift in order for Kamala to be successful and to get what we say we want done. And we need to make sure she has the human resources in place to get that done. That's a House and a Senate. And that right now, we could run the risk of not having.
Yeah.
And then making changes on the highest court in the land, because you had to add Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, the Supreme
That's the
Court
only way
needs
that
to be
all this stuff
reformed.
is going to get fixed. That has to be the highest priority. Once Congress is blue, the
Senate.
president is blue, you got to go in there and fix the judicial system, because if not, all this stuff it doesn't matter.
And it's federal justices, not. And I had this conversation with my husband. We have to understand it's federal justices. Period. They're not just in the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Federal justices, we're getting rulings from justices who, because they have lifetime appointments, are from the Reagan era.
Yes.
Who are coming out and interfering with things now because
and we need to rethink that. They can't have these lifetime appointments. They can't have these lifetime appointments anymore, because
they need to get rid of those.
Presidencies don't have lifetime appointments, so why should they?
The president, which is interesting, right? You look at the presidency, and if you look at most executive levels, in whether it's state or local, that executive level has term limits.
Yes.
Everyone should have a term limit. There shouldn't be anyone that could be here over and over again. No, Mitch McConnell should have gone a long time ago.
Long time.
Should have been out a long time ago. And I don't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
Yes.
You should not be able to die in that office because you keep getting reelected. And then, of course, it's on us as the citizens to do something about that. But we have to understand the piece about federal justices. And when Barack Obama was there, people talk about how that year they blocked because he no longer had the Senate to support him and was blocked from getting a Supreme Court justice on in there. He was also blocked for the federal justice appointments, the lower courts. They also blocked hundreds of those appointments that he could have made because the Senate is in charge of that. And we have to realize that the Senate could be tilted this year. And that's why I keep harping on the people who are in the state of Maryland. Understand Hogan cannot get that spot. We cannot give them the control over who our next president. If Kamala sits in that chair, she needs to be able to appoint the justices that we need. She needs to be able to help rectify and correct some things in that system. She would not be able to do that if she doesn't have a Democratic Senate to support her. Period.
Well, guys, we are reached the end of our conversation time. This was good. This was good. Guys, this is and again, at the end of the day of this conversation is that we have to vote and we have to encourage us. And can I just say, Texas and Louisiana, could y'all just please get it together? Y'all need to vote. We got to figure out a way to get Texans to vote. Texan is a sleeping giant, and there's so many votes to be had. And
we're close.
It's just shocking that how many people don't vote in Texas. When I hear the numbers, I'm like, what is going on? So let's really folks that we know in Texas or people that we can encourage in Texas, they got to vote. They got to sign up. They got to vote because that is going to help. And
Mississippi has one of the largest highest percentages of Black people in America living in that state.
That's true too. Yeah.
Why is it Republican controlled that way? That means that somebody's not showing up at the poll.
Yeah. Or they've been gerrymandered in such a way.
The local elections are gerrymandered.
Yeah.
You got those governors, everybody gets to vote. And the federal level, they also at the federal level, they should know that they need to come out and vote for those Congress people and senators.
And a lot of Supreme Court justices are on ballots in some places. Some places do not have life terms. They have to vote for their Supreme Court justices. I think is it Texas or is it Louisiana? I think it's one of the two that their Supreme Court justices are up for election. And guys know who's up there.
State level Supreme Court justices are not necessarily federally appointed judges.
Right.
The federal judges that are appointed by the president are not those Supreme Court justices.
Right.
So most states, like I said, DC is that rare place because we're not a state. We don't get to vote for all these people, but most places get to vote on a lot of judges and officers, the head of sheriffs and things. They get to vote on those things. We don't get to do that, but you all do. And where you get that opportunity, please take that opportunity and vote for people that make sense. That they changed. What state was that? Was it Wisconsin where they voted on that? They've changed they leveraged some things because of the Supreme Court justice.
Yeah, Wisconsin.
Yeah. It made a difference.
Jazzy says Ron is getting fancy. He. I love it. Yeah, we gotta keep stepping it up. You know how it is. We gotta keep stepping out. Look at all the names. I found out how to put the names back on the. I was like, we got panel discussions. People need to know who's talking. Not everybody knows everybody, so we got. I said we had to step it up a little bit. So, guys, anyway, Elise, where can people find you?
You can find me at SALIEZE _ on Instagram.
Omar, where can people find you?
Well, right now I'm about 15 minutes away from Washington D.C. and swing on a swing chair, and it's beautiful out here. Elise, it's nice. So very excited about the Hispanic Heritage Foundation Gala tonight that I'll be photographing. So you can find me personally at Photos by Omar on Instagram and Omar Ramos on Facebook.
And thank you, Omar. Thank you he's getting closer to the north. He's getting out. He's coming. He'll be in New York City this weekend. And speaking of Omar in New York City, I put out invitation. I'll be sending more out there today. And I was supposed to do a flyer yesterday, but I did not get a chance to do it. But we are meeting here in Brooklyn and at Fancy Free, and here in Fort Greene we'll be meeting at 2:00. And so we're just gonna get together. I I have some special people that may pop in to say hello to Omar that he doesn't even know are coming. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so we're gonna be getting together and we're just gonna hang out, have some food, just chat. Just, I mean, again, you come in. It's not, it won't be set up like, oh, come in like a big, like an event. It's pretty much come in. We're all hanging out at the restaurant. They'll probably have a little section for us, and we'll just hang out. You are responsible for your own tab, so make sure you know that. And then after, we may just be able to. We'll be right next door to Spike Lee's joint, and then we can take a walk down to Fort Greene Park and just chill out. We just can hang out and just have a good time from 2 o'clock to probably about 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on how long people want to just hang out. But we'll be at the restaurant for about an hour and a half, roughly, and then we'll just enjoy the neighborhood. So we're gonna have a good time. For those that want to bring your cameras, come out and bring your cameras. Our neighborhood is a great place to photograph. So Fort Greene is a great place to take great shots. So come on out at 2 o'clock on Sunday for our wonderful little lunch / brunch at Fancy Free, which is on Lafayette and South Elliott. Okay, I think we got it. We got it going on. I think this is it. Chris, any last words, sir?
Nope. See you guys tomorrow.
So tomorrow's our Focus Fridays, and we will be talking about all the accounts that bless us, encourage us, and inspire us. And so that's tomorrow's Focus Friday. And man, I'm excited. This has been New York City. We've had this great streak of great weather. And it's just been so good in the Northeast. So, and not just New York City, but the Northeast. We are in paradise. Sorry, the rest of the country, but we are in paradise. So, Omar, you look like you wanted to say something.
Well, I'm gonna be in New York tomorrow, and so it'll be after the show, obviously. But just I would love to meet everyone on Sunday. It'd be such an honor to finally meet some of our community that's in New York City. Hope you guys can make it. And first drink is on me for the first person I see. That's not Ron. So if you're not Ron and you're the first person I meet, that first drink is on me.
You got it. You got it. Omar was like, I'm coming to New York. I want to see folks. I want to see people that are in this group. I want to see people in the community. So, guys, we're going to have a great time. So, Chrissy, you better make sure you get that first look. Chrissy and I were there on this past week. So, on Monday. So, we're going to be back. This is going to be twice in a week. So, we're going to have a good time. Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us on our Touch Base Daily. And we are here every day from 10 o'clock to 11-ish after. And join us every day, and we will see you tomorrow. So, guys, thank you so much. And what do? We live life like we mean it. And what? We focus on what matters. Okay, guys, see ya. Have a wonderful, wonderful Thursday. And see you on Friday. Later.
Later.